Hello, this is a quick video on how to cast on and knit and purl stitches using wooden needles and metal needles. I'm using a fingering weight yarn for the moment. For beginners, I highly suggest using wooden needles to start with. Reason being, the yarn grips and your hand grips the needles. Metal, it just slips and slides. So to cast on, taking your end, your tail, throw it over, thumb in, bottom three go on the outside, and you just grab the yarn. Going under the yarn, holding it, I will twist down, around, and up so it holds. And this is my preferred cast on. I believe this is called Norwegian Cast on. I've tried multiple cast ons, but this one I prefer the most. It gives me the most stretch in my cast on, meaning it has stretch, literally, left to right. It's not tight, so when you pull it, it doesn't go anywhere. This actually has a lot of give in this particular method, but you pick the cast on that works best for you, for your garment that you're making, your project. And to slow this down, what I am doing is going under, down in between, around, completely under. Going up and down and then completely under. Again, going completely under, between, around, up, between, down, and completely under. Again, under, between, around, and I'm going down and around to come back on the outside of this and up, and then down and under. It's a lot for this particular cast on. And if you're a Harry Potter fan, you can always say, this is how I learned it, at least. It was the only way I could get myself to memorize it. Wingardium Leviosa. You have to be a Harry Potter nerd to know that. So what you'll do is, you'll see the working yarn is on the left. You want to simply turn your needle to the right. That's all that is. Now you can twist this tail with the working yarn. That way you don't have to weave in an end, or you can just let it hang. For me, it's easier to weave it in, but that's my preference. But for this video, for a beginner, I'll leave it hanging for now. So what you'll do is take your empty needle, and these stitches will jump to these, and you'll see how. Pushing behind this front stitch, meaning you're just going to push and it magically pops right behind it from the back. You're going to go down and scoop and pull it from where you came from, that hole, right where you went in, you're now coming out. And you're just going to pull right off the needle. Push behind the stitch, and it will pop from the back. Scoop, come out from where you came from. To speed this up. And sometimes I don't always catch it properly, but that's okay. Take your time. It's a matter of practice, and it's not a rushed thing to do, knitting. I don't think any knitting or crocheting project should be rushed. It should be something that's actually relaxing and fun. Again, you're going to push so it pops in the back, scoop it, and pull it from where you came from and pull it off. Again, push it so it pops through the back, scoop down and up, again, down and scoop up, and then you're just going to push it right through where you came from. And that's your first row. For purl stitching, instead of the yarn being in the back behind this needle, you're going to simply move it to the front. I just literally pull it from the back to the front. Fixing my tension. This pointer finger will become your lever, at least how I do it. It becomes my lever, up and down, up and down. So for purling, I'm going to insert the needle, if it won't catch the other one, there we go. Insert the needle, pull up, pull down over the needle, and go right back out from where you came from. Again, and it gets easier because now you can manipulate and hold this needle with the stitch. Keep your finger down if you have to. Get behind that stitch. You just scoop it up, lever up, lever down and over. That's all I'm doing, is pulling it down and over that needle, and then push it right back through that hole where I came from and get it off the needle. For me, and it will become easier if you practice, I don't naturally want to pull my finger down like this. Sometimes I do, but naturally now, after practicing for so long, my finger just wants to stay up. So I can just insert just like that. Same thing. I just insert the needle and then just pull straight down. Insert, pull straight down. Insert, pull straight down. The more you practice, the more your hands will become accustomed to it, and they will naturally flow so that you can knit with more ease, so to speak. That collar is just getting in the way. There we go. And again, for practice, and to show you, your knit stitches are V's, just like that. The purl stitches look like bumps. So for knit stitches, the yarn stays in the back, and then you simply push, and the needle will just pop right through, again through the front, and it will just pop right through, scoop down, and pull it off. Again, pushing through the front, scooping down and up, and then just pull it right through where you came from. Whoops. And that can be scary when the needle pops off the stitch, but that's okay. And then just pull your stitches back out, give them a little bit of a stretch. And again, you'll see your knit stitches look like V's. When I push them together, it's more clear. You have a whole bunch of V's. Those are your knit stitches. And when you turn your work, all those bumps are your purl stitches. And for the purling again, you're just going to pull this yarn right in the front, readjust my tensioning, and I'm going to scoop right up under that first stitch, and I'm going to lever up and over and pull it from where I came from. Insert up and over. So that is knitting on wooden needles. And when you knit with metal, this yarn will glide much more easily over the yarn. So once you get accustomed to knitting in general, I suggest again with beginners, try wooden needles so that you can practice holding, practice tension, practice manipulating the yarn. And when you're using the wooden needles, it grips. So you don't have stitches flying around and literally flying off the needle sometimes, which can be very frustrating. How do I know? Because I started with metal needles and I got frustrated and I quit. And then when I saw a tutorial online, suggestion was beginners use wooden needles because everything grips and it works very well. So again, just for reference, your knit stitches are V's. And honestly, for me at least, it's the easiest way to count a stitch. So right now you would have 1, 2, 3, 4 rows knitted. Don't count this one until you get off of it. This is already going to be row 5. But so far you've only knitted 1, 2, 3, 4. Count the actual V's. Some people are able to count the bumps in the back, which would be, in this case, it looks like 1, 2, 3, 4, but it's a little confusing even for me. So I just prefer to count the V's, count the knit stitches, the flat ones. The purls are the bumps. So to show you how it glides a little bit easier over metal needles, doing another knit stitch. And the more you practice, the faster you'll end up knitting. Most likely. Everyone's different. You may knit slow, you may knit fast. It's not a race. You go at your own pace. But knitting on metal needles, the yarn glides over more quickly. There's no gripping of the yarn. Get rid of that one. It just glides really quickly, really easily. Now I'm going to purl, pull the needle and pull the yarn in front, and insert, up, down, push back out, hold that first stitch, just like that. In this method, I'm not sure if I mentioned, this is Continental Knitting. The method that I'm using with my hands is Continental Knitting. I'm using my left hand to manipulate the yarn. My right hand is simply the needle tool. I'm using my left hand to actually manipulate the yarn. That's Continental. English style knitting is when you're using your right hand instead of your left, and you end up throwing the yarn. I believe it's also called picking or wrapping. I only use English style when I'm doing color work. I'm not a fan of English style just to do it. I have better tension and control over my knitting when I'm knitting Continental. See, it goes a little bit faster. And because I'm knitting and then purling, every time I turn, it creates the flat and the bump. That would be the garter stitch. And just to show you English style, because I'm on the purl side now, I'm going to purl. I'm going to insert the needle. And this is a lot more manipulation than Continental. I'm having to let go of the needle. I'm going to go over and pull down, and then go back out the way I came. In, up and over, and back out. This is English style. So if you don't mind letting go of your needle, I'm sure many people know how to not let go of it, but I've not found a way to not completely let go of the needle doing this. It's not my preferred method. And it slows me down, quite honestly. And if I wanted to do a knit stitch doing English, I will put my yarn behind my needle, so it would be in the back. Tighten that up. I would still go in like a knit stitch, but I'm going to wrap the yarn this way and pull forward. Push in and wrap. But that's a lot of manipulation that I'm just not a fan of. So I only use it when I have to in color work. It's just so much easier for me personally to just use one hand as my yarn lever. Lever, not lover. Hopefully it didn't sound like I said lover. And just turn the work. And that's how you cast on, one of the many methods of casting on, and knitting and purling. And these are the two purl bumps in the front now because I did that switch up in the back. That's how you knit and purl, both Continental and English style, on wooden and metal needles. Hopefully this helps someone. I know a lot of tutorials out there definitely helped me, so I thought maybe I would give it a crack and try it myself.